Good time of the day, our dear members and guests of today's event. My name is Natalia Klos. I'm a president and co-founder of Black Sea Women in Nuclear Network. Today is a very special day because we are starting our day with launching our new initiative, Chemical and Bio Talks. So this is first event in the series. It will be the same if you before participated our new talks. So it will be kind of the same, but not totally the same because the topic is different and we have a new leader. Let me introduce you Tatiana Novosolova. She is a research fellow with the law program of the Center for the Study of Democracy in Bulgaria. Her main research interest covers the cross-cut between international law and policy sustainability with a focus on the security risk governance of emerging scientific and technological advances. Tatiana's research has examined the process of the science engagement with the chemical and biological security issues. She has also worked on the application of active learning methods for ICT technology in the field of training. Tatiana holds a PhD in politics and international security from the University of Bradford, UK, as part of which she has examined the governance of biotechnology in post-Soviet Russia. So welcome, Tatiana. She is a leader and she later will proceed with our meeting. So floor is yours. And thank you very much that you are leading this initiative. And we are very happy that we have in our membership so active participants who are taking in leading roles. And if you want to have some other leader roles in our area, so think about and propose us new activities. We'll be happy to support you. So Tatiana, floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Natalia, and hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to see many of you joining today, and hopefully people continue joining as we go, as we move along as well. Let's just quickly start by getting my screen shared just at the beginning. So let me just go quickly in share mode. So as Natalia mentioned, today we have the pleasure of sort of introducing this new initiative to the Black Sea Women in Nuclear Network. And I'll try to keep my sort of introductory remarks brief, but I just wanted to start by adding up just a couple of words of what is the purpose of this initiative, why it's important to have it, and what are the goals that we are trying to achieve with sort of this new activity that we are starting. So as many of you know, there is already an established activity within the Black Sea Women in Nuclear, that's the Nuke Talks, which essentially bring together experts in the nuclear security and safety field to discuss issues of relevance to nuclear disarmament, but also nuclear non-proliferation, you name it. I myself, as a member of the Black Sea Women in Nuclear, I'm a little bit of sort of the odd one, so to speak, because my background, whilst being still in disarmament and security, has always focused mostly on bio and chem issues rather than on nuclear. And of course, bio and chem are interesting because unlike nuclear weapons, biological and chemical weapons are prohibited. And we have under international law blanket prohibitions of those two types of weapons. So in a way, there is this common assumption among policymakers, but also people in the field of security, that if those weapons are prohibited, then they're no problem. So we have the prohibition, the law is there, everything is fine. However, as we have seen over the past and the recent years, that's not necessarily the case. There are new emerging challenges in those fields. So the fact that those weapons are prohibited doesn't necessarily mean that there are no issues to worry about. At the same time, what we have seen over the years it's that there is this growing integration between the different fields of security when it comes to chemical, biological, and radiological and nuclear issues. And in a way, this bundle of CBRN has really emerged as a key concept in the political arena, but also in the policymaking field, but also when it comes to civil protection, when it comes to thinking about safety, general safety and security. Also, when we think about ensuring the peaceful uses of science, we are approaching those issues very much more often now through this integrated lens of CBRN rather than just through work in silos. And of course, to some extent, this is not this is not surprising. This is that's very much how things have evolved, and how risks and threats. And part of the reason why we have the ChemBio Talks to complement the nuke talks as part of the Black Sea Women in Nuclear is mainly to support that general understanding of what this whole bundle of CBRN is. So we're trying to look at crossing issues that essentially pertain to the different domains. So not only limited to radiological and nuclear, but also what is taking place in the biological field, what is happening in the chemical field, whether that will be risks and threats, but also solutions, good practices, trends, and
indicates now 4 years, but there was a change. Maybe it's not updated in the ChemBio database. They told me that it needs to be executed now. So this is one point.
Noise,
so it's 4 years. It has been done 2 years before. It doesn't need to.
Right. So essentially, looking at what, as I said,
already created work order, then it's fine. But maybe this is an argument that we can push it a little bit.
I think that we are right. Okay, so yeah, if just as a ground rule, if I can ask everyone, if you could please keep your mics on mute for the moment, that would be great. And that's also because later on we'll have panel speakers, so it's just to the benefit to anyone who is speaking during the session. That will be very much appreciated. We'll be grateful for that. And of course, if you would like to join and contribute to the session, be it through a question or comment, do indicate your interest. I think you can always use the raise hand button, or type in the chat, or just sort of indicate your interest to participate and speak. That would be great. So that's very much as a sort of a housekeeping. Probably I should have started with that at the very beginning. Right. So trying to recap from where we were. So when we're talking about CBRN security, it's important to consider both the downside, which are the challenges, the risks, and the threats, but also when we think about the possible solutions, when we think about the good practices that exist there, the lessons learned. And when you look at the different domains of chemical, biological, and nuclear security, we can identify some common trends when it comes to thinking about solutions, when it comes to thinking about options for strengthening responsible practices, responsible uses of those materials. Also, when we think about ways to safeguard those materials against misuse. and also how to preserve the knowledge that is generated within those fields. And as we'll hear later today, those intangible aspects when we think about chemical, biological, and nuclear security are beginning to be much more important nowadays than they have been than ever before, simply because we have the rising challenge of disinformation, and that's something that has been there for a while now, and it's unlikely, unfortunately, to go away. So being able to battle that and finding those ways to confront some of those challenges, it's vitally important. So thinking about the common approaches and shared practices for risk management, and also for effective protection, because the more the concept of CBRN gets into the popular discourse, the more it is up to the experts to actually ensure that it is full of meaning, that we know what this concept stands for, to appreciate that there are differences between the different risks in the different domains, but that there are also commonalities, and that there is also prospect for learning across those different fields that we have. And just to give you an example, I'm pretty sure that most of you are probably familiar, but even the International Atomic Energy Agency for a number of years now has been very active in actually supporting biological threat prevention in the sense that they've contributed to strengthening health security and working on pandemic preparedness. So there is a whole portfolio of activities that is taking place under the auspices of the International Atomic Energy Agency to support some of those efforts. And an interesting fact, probably most of you are aware, but the common PCR tests that we all had to take during COVID, during the last COVID pandemic, that is also based on knowledge generated in the nuclear field. So you can see that there are those subtle ways in which at the first glance, disparate fields between nuclear and biological are actually much more closer together than we can imagine. And of course, there is also the field of cancer biology and radiotherapy and radiotherapy that also demonstrates how the fields can get closer together. So in that sense, when we are talking about CBRN, we shouldn't be thinking only about the risks and threats, but also the opportunities and the options for bringing those fields together and seeing how they emerge together, how they evolve together, and what are some of the common elements there. So in that sense, you can see that it's much of a very broad emerging field, very complicated, but at the same time, really, really exciting. And that's why knowledge sharing and peer learning appears to be very, very some of those tools and platforms that we should leverage and further encourage. So the knowledge sharing across the different fields between the chemical, the nuclear, and the biological, and the sharing of good practices, but also lessons learned. So against this background, the ChemBio Talks that we are launching today have a very sort of, in a way, a broad agenda, if you wish. So we are trying to pursue here some very broad overarching goals, which essentially are oriented on three main axes. So first, of course, is to raise awareness and to look at how efforts in chemical and biological disarmament and non-proliferation can help promote chemical and biological security in the Black Sea region. So when we're talking about chemical and biological issues, especially with biological issues, those are it's very difficult to think in terms of regional approaches, because biological challenges and biological security is really something that has a global reach. So it's something that affects all states. However, different regions have their own specificities, and trying to look at what are some of those specificities, what are some of those concrete challenges that countries in our region face, and what are some of the good practices that exist there, and what are some of the ways of actually strengthening those good practices within the region, could be of value, and could be really, really beneficial. So in that sense, awareness raising is really a key area. The second key area here, it's highlighting threats and developments in risk management, and also local efforts to strengthen institutional frameworks and professional culture. So essentially, we'll try to again promote some of those good practices that already exist. We'll try to flag up what exists there in terms of expertise, in terms of initiatives, in terms of activities, how those contribute to the overall culture of chemical, biological, and nuclear and radiological security within the region. What are the possibilities for learning across the different fields? Because there might be good practices that are transferable. There could be things that are happening in one domain that are of relevance to another. And having that knowledge base, being able to tap into this knowledge base is important. But also we'll be sharing about challenges that we're experiencing, because challenge that occurs in one domain may also manifest in another domain. And last but not least, we'll be also aiming to foster and deepen some of those synergies and connections between professionals and practitioners. And we'll try to link between the professionals in the chemical, biological, and nuclear sphere, and try to, in a way, give a life to this concept of CBRN, because in the end of the day, what makes concepts viable are the people that operationalize them and people that make them work in practice, and people who actually are able to perform activities, but also perform their roles and learn from one another, share, and come together and discuss. So those are, in a way, the three very sort of broad and overarching goals that we'll be aiming to, in a way, to achieve here. Again, whilst the focus is mainly on, we'll be trying to look both on security and safety issues as we go along, because as it is the case in nuclear safety and security, those two aspects go hand in hand. And we'll hear a little bit about that later on as well. But in a nutshell, so we'll try to identify what are some of the challenges across the different domains, what are some of the good practices. We'll aim to share, we'll aim to learn from one another, and we'll aim to, in a way, operationalize this concept of CBRN security and use the Black Sea women in nuclear as, in a way, as a platform to drive the discourse on CBRN when it comes to the Black Sea region. And it's good because we have professionals from different backgrounds, different domains, covering both safety and security issues, which really provides us for a lot of learning, a lot of sharing, and a lot of fruitful exchange. Of course, as we go along, we wouldn't be shying away from some of the challenges that we face when it comes to chemical and biological issues. Of course, the Black Sea region is, as I mentioned at the start, every region has its specificities. Of course, our region has its own and has been facing divergent threats and multidimensional threats on different fronts. Probably we can't shy away from what is going on at the moment with the war in Ukraine, against Ukraine, with Russia's resurgent ambitions, but also with the legacy that we have with Russia's activities in the region, particularly in the field of chemical, biological, but also nuclear proliferation. So when we have that kind of a source of constant conflict and constant tension in the region, that gives us an additional impetus to aim to be on the forefront and try and look at those different issues that essentially make the CBRN domain. As I'm about to sort of conclude with my introduction, I would like to recap very briefly, because I'm pretty sure that probably not many of you are familiar with some of the proceedings that are taking place in Geneva within the framework of the Biological and Toxic Weapons Convention. But as I mentioned, chemical and biological weapons are prohibited, and the Biological and Toxic Weapons Convention is the primary treaty that prohibits biological weapons. Its negotiations and its proceedings take place in Geneva. What happened last week in Geneva is that we witnessed yet another blatant example of an attempt to shut off the civil society from those proceedings. Typically, civil society have always been, and NGOs have always been allowed to not only to be in the room as the proceedings of the Biological and Toxic Weapons Convention are taking place, but also to deliver NGO statements. And I'm pretty sure that many of you are familiar with that mechanism, because that's something that happens also in the NPT arena, and also in the the Convention Against Chemical Weapons as well. But what happened last week is that during the meetings of state parties, that's the annual meeting of state parties of the Biological and Toxic Weapons Convention, there was one state that essentially prevented NGOs to speak to state parties during the session of the MSP that is usually designated for NGOs. That country, of course, was Russia. So we see that there is yet another attempt to, in a way, shut off and close off civil society from actively participating in some of those mechanisms that exist when it comes to biological security. But the main reason why I'm actually flagging this up is because that should be a wake-up call to all of us who are doing any sort of work related to nuclear, chemical, or biological safety and security, and especially those of us who are in any way active in the area of disarmament and non-proliferation, because that kind of behavior might actually multiply, and we might see more of it in other fora, in other contexts, and in other settings. So in that sense, I think that we are really in a sort of very interesting context when it comes to the Black Sea region and the CBRN security in our region. But at the same time, that also holds a lot of prospects and opportunity for sharing and being vocal about the good practices and the good initiatives and successful initiatives that exist within our region. So, in that sense, just before I give the floor to our esteemed speakers and introduce them, because we have a wonderful panel for the rest of today's session. So, the way the ChemBio Talks are structured, they very much mirror the Nuke Talks. So we'll be having an expert panel speaker, an expert panel of speakers that will be addressing topical issues for topical issues of interest for to the specific to the specific theme of the event. For our launching event, we have a panel that specifically looks at the mitigation of biological threats, and we'll be hoping to have another panel that actually would look more specifically on also chemical threat mitigation in the new year. So in a way to keep the focus on both chemical and biological safety and security together. But for the moment, we decided that we shall start with the topic on bio, simply because as I'm pretty much sure most of you are familiar with some of the challenges that here in the region we are facing with over the past few years, specifically when it comes to disinformation. You're pretty much familiar with the narrative about the bioweapon labs in Ukraine that Russia has been trying to sort of coin and promote and propagate through different channels, in different fora, in different ways. And also, they have also been using the format of the Biological and Toxic Weapons Convention systematically, both last week and the week before, when there was a working group of the convention as well. So that's really something that continues. That's something that is ongoing. And one of the talks that we have during our panel today would address some of those challenges, some of those issues, specifically to help us gauge what are the particular challenges that we are facing, but also what are some of the good practices and what are some of the possible responses to deal with that. Without further ado, I now would like to move towards introducing our panel. We have two speakers for today's panel. We have Katie Zeridze and Stephanie Norlock. So Katie Zeridze, she's from the Luga Center in Georgia, and Luga Center, that's the main reference, the national reference lab with the National Center for Public Health, so the National Center for Disease Control in Georgia, Tbilisi. Katie has a long-standing experience with biosafety and biosecurity. She's been working on very many different projects in that area, and she has been very active in helping to foster a culture of biosafety and biosecurity among professionals, not only in Georgia, but within the region. She's been working on a number of international activities. She's very, very knowledgeable and has a lot of experience to share. And she would also be touching upon some of the issues that and some of the challenges that her institution has experienced during the ongoing Russian campaign with disinformation messaging with regard to so-called bioweapon activities. Second, then we'll follow on with a little bit of a more broader view on biological threat mitigation, and we'll hear from Stephanie Norlock, who is a senior program officer with the International Federation of Biosafety Association, which is the umbrella organization of biosafety associations around the world. And actually, many of the countries in the Black Sea region have their own national biosafety association, and there are also a number of regional biosafety associations. And we'll hear from Stephanie about some of the work that IFBA has been doing in promoting biosafety and biosecurity in support of the norms against biological weapons, but also trying to cultivate the profession of biosafety and biosecurity, and also promote the principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion in the field of biosafety and biosecurity. So without further ado, I would like to give over the floor to our speakers. And Kitty, please, you have the word to start, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you for the nice introduction, Tatiana. So, and I have to just agree with you that okay, my screen is already shared, yes? Okay. Yeah, so I have to agree with you that in terms of the global security, biochem, radio, and nuclear is very important, especially in this nowadays. They very I don't know, tremendous the challenges we have in the world and in the region particularly. So, and I have to say that the bio as well as the other, the sections are very important in terms of the security, and global security and global health security is one of the main issue we have to consider. We have to just be aware and to raise awareness of the public and the professional also to just share the knowledge, experience, and just to be stand and fight against any challenges or any the threats and risk which may arise. We already have nowadays. So I have to just start my talk about what we are doing in the country. For example, the Lugar Center. What is the true story? I just named my presentation like this, and also what is the challenge as false stories, which is just raised up by our have to say the friendly neighbors, for example. And I have to say that I'll be very thankful to the international cooperation and help. We already have this very nice facility, the BSL-3 laboratory in the country, which is very important for the country as well as for the region. And let me start for this brief introduction of our organization, about the Lugar Center, how it was established, what's the steps we have just passed from the Soviet past till nowadays, till independent and nowadays. And it's just start from the very old facility, which is already here. I'm just indicating was in the center of the city. We called it very previously it was established like the Antiplex station during the Soviet period, but it was after the independence of the country, it was converted to the research, the center of especially dangerous pathogens, and you see that the chronological order how it was involved, and later when we acknowledge a lot about the system of the Center for Disease Control. We just made the structure of our center, and they later integrated the medical statistics and also they integrated the public health department, and it became the huge institution which is has the centralized system of the public health and the epidemiology. So in 2013, when the building was established as the laboratory, the Lugar Center, we call it the Lugar Center for Public Health Research. And why the Lugar Center? Because it was just established within the cooperative threat reduction, the CTR program, and it was a country by country the agreement, and granted by the U.S. government. They just built a new, nice, the state-of-art, laboratory, and this is I have to say that it's still the new branch facility. It serves as a reference laboratory for country, and as I mentioned, for the region as well in some part, and it costed huge amount. About the whole program, it was 350 million, but the facility 150 millions. So you have to imagine how well designed and they equipped the facility should be. So it is located outside of the city center. It's remote from the settled area. It means that's quite secured in terms of the warning of the people. So the total square, it's indicated at 1,800 square meter, but the one third part is they just engage the laboratories. The two third part is the engineering system, which means that we have the very secured and safe working practice there. So I have to say that the Lugar Center itself, it's not the standalone laboratory. We have this the whole very nice public health as well as the veterinary, the human and animal laboratory network, which is they spread in the country, and you can see here the blocks, the human and as well as the animal the laboratories. And for example, it serves us as something is appears emerging the diseases, especially the zoonotic ones and any other infections. The system works like they are diagnostic the first the side, and afterwards they for referral and more further investigation, the sample is coming to the Lugar Center. So it means that the public laboratory system works very well. Okay, and I have to say that we have the 3 accredited, the WHO accredited laboratory, and we have the accreditation that they over the years, and 5 of laboratories, and here is indicated the Rota, meningitis, and so on. They are the part of the WHO laboratory network with external quality assurance. So what is the mission and what is our role as a Lugar Center? First of all, it's provides a laboratory-based surveillance system, which is under the international health regulations and global health security agenda, which gives us the more opportunity just to be within the context of the global health security, and it gives the opportunity for the country to rapidly diagnostic of biological threats, confirmation and response. The facility itself is responsible for the biosafety and biosecurity in the country. And the very important is that we have preserved all the especially dangerous pathogens in one place, and it is a secured one. And it means that we are more or less safe in terms of the spreading of the pathogens over the country, for example. So, and the Lugar Center serves as a surveillance for the entomological the diseases. And they also helps not helps, but they support the public health state programs, for example, epidemiological, the public state programs, and so on. And as a in a global context and a global health security agenda, we are the lead in the package of laboratory and zoonotic disease action package. As a reference laboratory, we provide for the biomedical research potentially to the country. Regarding more details about the preservation of the pathogens and bacteria, as you can see from these pictures also, and the information that we have the pathogen asset control system, which is a very robust, very secure one. That means that we know which vials in which place, when is this located, and no one can just have the access to that without any the permission. So this is one of the part to say that the PAC system, the benefit, and on the other side, we know the pathogens and work easily. For example, in terms of we need to just to make the cultivation or something, and this is a very good approach as well. So what we have done within this our brand new facility, and it gives us opportunity to first in Georgia, in the world, to identify, to discover the new orthodox virus. Maybe for the people who are not from the bias the field, it will not be so important, but I have to say that to identify the new species also of orthodox virus, it means that the bio world knows that if something has happened, and for example, maybe it's more important for the biological specialists. What is the more important we have done we identified, they found the embeds the Brucellus pathogens, which was not before identified. So this is also the very important, and many other things that you can see there. But I have to move to the next session, which is related to our activities, how we open our and how we are sharing our knowledge and experience. For example, during this the period indicated, the 5 years period or even more period, 7-year period, we have just hosted the university students, the master doctoral, the bachelor students. They have the opportunity to just to make their the research there. So it means that we do our daily work and routine work and working on the pathogens, but we are not how to close the facility. We open for the new generations to prepare them, and also open for the people to to see how we are working. And for example, we just you see from these pictures that many of the students are involved in different projects. They are doing their master thesis and so on. And during the COVID, which was a very difficult and hard situation for the country and for the professional fora. So we hired a lot of the newcomers, for example, and they were engaged in the COVID detection, the process. So not only the local students are they have the possibility to just join and to see the capacity of the Lugar Center, but we also they also invite many the scientists from the different countries. Also, they collaborate within the collaboration with the WHO and other international organizations. We just give the opportunity to host them and to use the facility for training hub, for example. And you see that we conducted several the different the trainings and the conferences about the pathogen detection or bacterial meningitis. We already just conducted the biosecurity trainings for not only the Myanmar students, but also from others. I just did not encounter it here. And the most important is just the CRDF Global just chosen our facility as a basis for to train the fellows from from Iraq. So this means that we are we have the professional, we have the good capacity and the basis to train others and to share the knowledge, and also we are very open the facility to just collaborate. But however, what happens, controversial to what we are doing, the false stories, disinformation, allegations, everything is coming from the different sources, and we know that the main, how to say, the major creators are our neighbors, and whenever the Lugar Center was established, the false information, the disinformation just coming, it increased, and for example, it just had the fostering, like in 2018 when the former ex-secretary Igor Georgadze just blamed the country, not only the Lugar Center, the country, that we are just killing the people, and we do not want the good for our residents and the population. So and afterwards it was followed by the general, the Mayor General, the Kirillov. He also just made some the claims that he has the documents how many people were killed, and they buried it even in the Lugar, in the yard of the Lugar Center. It was very ridiculous, but anyway, the people just started to believe that, it is how the propaganda, the Russian propaganda, really works. So they to fight against these the allegations. So we just invited the members, EU member states within the biological biological and toxic weapons convention. We asked them to just to arrange the peer review exercise for us to show what we are doing, to demonstrate what we are doing, and the member states just came here and they expressed willingness to see what we are doing really here, but unfortunately, Russian delegation didn't appear. And the next slides will show how this process was conducted. What we opened all the doors, all these the storages, the laboratories, and you see, and everything, it was successfully conducted, and I have to say that it happened thanks to the German government, who had already the Bundeswehr University, the Institute of Epidemiology. This is a military institute, but they helped us to just conduct it in a good manner, and they just shared their practice also in such kind of event to conduct. And the later in December, when the experts meeting was conducted, it was presented our the report of the expert reports, as well as the independent the independent experts report. Philip Lances, maybe most of you know her. The final word was from this the report was the facility demonstrated significant transparency about its activity. The visiting team observed that nothing that could inconsistent with prophylaxis, protective, and other peaceful purposes. This is the real citation or what they just delivered at the BWC convention meeting. However, after that, the Russian delegation just started. They activated their propaganda. They did not believe this our the report, and they said that it was a show, and the Luger Center did not demonstrate. It was like the theatrical show, and another disinformation waves just came up, and particularly in during the COVID-19, there was I just show here this news. Newspaper, which is a satellite newspaper, so from the Georgian satellite, from the Russian propaganda, and the coronavirus has not originated from China. Yes, hello Luger Center. It means that they started the blaming that the laboratory U.S. program-funded laboratories like the Luger Center just developed the coronavirus, which is absolutely nonsense. And I have just indicate here also the one of our friend and the researcher from US, the Milton Leitenberg, who just make the observation and the research about the Russian propaganda, and if someone wants, like, I can share his article. So there was mentioned about the several times how the Luger Center was several, the 15 or even more times was they attacked by the different disinformations. So, and the last the allegation from the Russian side was this year when the BWC, the expert meeting in June, they just make the statement. It was the big, even not statement, but the report, outcome report of Parliamentary Commission about investigation into the circumstances related to creation of biological laboratory by U.S. specialists on the territory of the Ukraine. Yes, it was totally bullshit. It was totally, I don't know how they are tailoring these lies and the false information, but it was in Russian language. It was about the 70 pages in Russian language. It was the 200 pages, and in English the 70. So I just read. I was reading it. I was even laughing, or they did not want how. I did not know what to do. Yes, how to just respond to that, because there was totally a mixture of the true stories, which is really, it was true, but tailored the other, the full stories as a big schleif, for example. Yeah. So, and there was also mention about the Georgia and the Lugar Center under the project Emerging Risk of Infectious about the insectorial the bats in Ukraine and Georgia. Actually, the project was funded by the Science Technology Center for Ukraine, and I have to say that it's the start was very promising, because we wanted to just to investigate the bats on rabies and other coronavirus. Everyone knows, especially the biologists know that the bats are the reservoir of many zoonotic diseases, and it's not the secret. So, and we wanted just to identify if in a Georgian bat population, the bats population is also they exist such kind of the viruses, and how to make the preventive the mitigation measures. But it was they just made what to say, what they said, that we are issuing this information about the bats and the coronaviruses from our border to the Russia, and we want to just to selectively kill the Slav population, which is very ridiculous. So to respond to that, we just said that this is the open source. You can find this the information about this program on STCU this website. Also, we found out the several articles, and I indicated here that when the Russian researchers also are making the research on the coronavirus in the bats in the Russian territory, and it's not for example, the two of the articles are just showed here. So yeah, this is it's not the how to say, yeah, it's not it's the secret that everywhere, every country, the researchers, the biological scholars are doing the research in this area. So the very important is to just to find out the reservoirs and to find out the source of the infections for what we have done, this was like this. Okay, but how to fight against this disinformation allegation? do not have how to say the strong leverages, and I suppose to just stand hand by hand and within the region, also the Black Sea region, and the scientists together against this allegation. Somehow maybe we will just once win on it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Katie. It has been really, really an informative talk, and a lot of what you have shared, I'm pretty sure that resonates very strongly with our participants, and it really demonstrates what are the risks, because when it comes to this information, it cuts across the security field, so it has the disarmament angle, but then on the other hand, it is altogether aimed at public health labs, and those are the very same infrastructures that people depend on to advance health security, which is really the very pernicious element that we have here. I'm pretty sure we'll get some interesting questions during the discussion, but now, without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Stephanie Norlock from the International Federation of Biosafety Association. And Stephanie, the floor is yours if you would like to go ahead and share your screen as well.
Thank you very much. Can you see my screen okay? Oh, I think it just shared.
Almost, yeah.
Okay, perfect. And just in case, I'm just going to double check here. Okay. Perfect. And you can just see the plain screen here. There's nothing in the way.
Yes, everything is okay. You can
Okay.
proceed.
Perfect. Okay, so I will get started. I'll try and keep things a little bit brief so that we can have lots of discussion and questions. Thank you so much for having me. I've really been looking forward to this event. As Dr. Novosielova mentioned, my name is Stephanie Norlock, and I'm a Senior Program Officer for the International Federation of Biosafety Associations. Today I'm going to be talking very much from the bio side, as well as maybe a few comments on kind of following up on the introductory ones about cross-cutting initiatives in gender across CBRN regimes. So just to kind of start, I represent IFBA, and we are based in Ottawa, Canada, but we are an international organization of 53 national and regional member biosafety associations around the world. And we do have a bit of a reputation for representing the practitioner community. So for example, medical laboratory technicians, biosafety officers, so on and so forth. But we're actually a very multi-sectoral network of partners and stakeholders. So we also include a very large proportion of our network are policymakers. They may be in law, they may be in public administration, engineers, architects, so on and so forth. And this results in biosafety associations being a very rich source of information nationally or regionally in terms of technical expertise relating to biosafety or biosecurity, which is particularly valuable when certain countries may not have very strong institutionalization of global biosafety and biosecurity policy frameworks or guidelines. And so with that said, we support these associations in much of the work that we do and partner with them in order to support capacity and innovation in biosafety and biosecurity regionally and globally. So we, through our associations, are quite active in the Black Sea region. These are a collection of regional and national associations in the Black Sea region and a little bit more broadly across Eastern Europe and Central Asia, where we have certain national associations such as the Georgia Biosafety Association, as well as the Moldavian Association of Biosafety and Biosecurity. JEBSA is a member of EBSA, the European Biosafety Association, Association, which is a more of a, now it's kind of an umbrella association for a number of European national biosafety associations, as well as provide a source for peer learning and networking for a large number of European and international experts that do not belong to a specific national association where they're located. Other regional associations include the Biosafety Association of Central Asia and the Caucasus, which is inclusive of Georgia, and the Eurasian Biosafety Society, which is a relatively new regional organization that is largely based in Turkey. Turkey does have a national association, to my understanding, but right now they're not part of our federation. I will also add that following up from the last presenter's comments, that I was very happy in attending BACAC's conference last year in Tbilisi, that I was able to have a small tour of the Luger Center as well. And it was a very, I think, very valuable exercise. And it was such a privilege to be able to speak with all of the knowledgeable experts that were in the center, and so welcoming to us. We were pretty large group of international guests that were able to walk around the facility. So we are very active in global and regional biosecurity in a few different ways. I'm going to be kind of going over my portfolio, as well as some other programming that focuses on building technical expertise, workforce development at the national and regional levels, as well as some other initiatives that focus on community-led approaches to fostering positive biosafety culture and norm setting in global biosecurity, which I feel is quite important, particularly at this time, given many of the emerging and re-emerging biological threats around the world, and specific to different regions. So IFBA is very well known for its certification program, and IFBA professional certifications, they prove competency in the tested areas. It is a professional certification program where the prerequisite exam is biorisk management, and then you can go on to be certified in a few different domains. One of them includes biosecurity, and the tested domains are listed here at the bottom of the slide on the exam blueprint. So focusing on conventions, guidelines, standards, personnel reliability, dual use, so on and so forth. And we offer biorisk management in a host of different languages, some of which are online. You may see that we offer biorisk management in Russian and Turkish language, English and Turkish, as well as French, Arabic, and Spanish are available online right now. Unfortunately, Vietnamese and Russian are still just paper-based. And biosecurity is offered in English, French, and Arabic. Biosecurity in English is offered online as well. And so these professional certifications can be quite valuable as we talk a little bit more about women's networks and the relevance of gender and biosecurity a little bit later on. So I will keep going. So in terms of a lot of the international work that we do for community-led culture of practice, so on and so forth, I'm very involved in a number of youth initiatives in biosecurity around the world. One of them, kind of the main one, is the United Nations Office for Disarmament Affairs Youth for Biosecurity Initiative. This started in 2019 as a workshop for, it was a biosecurity diplomacy workshop for scientists from the Global South. And it was kind of an awareness raising workshop on the Biological Weapons Convention, what the articles of the convention were, how they could be translated to specific work that these scientists were doing in their laboratories back home. And since then, it has evolved into more of a fellowship, where maybe about 30 fellows each year, some of which are from the Black Sea region, are called to Geneva to undergo a lot of networking activities, a lot of advanced discussions on recent evolution of the implementation of biological weapons conventions, certain political considerations, but most of all, being encouraged to translate knowledge that they've learned in Geneva to their home countries. So this has been going on for about 4 years now. Throughout the pandemic, it was virtual, and I've participated as a technical expert with these initiatives, sometimes taking some individuals from our network to participate in these activities. We will be taking some youth from Latin America and the Caribbean this year to certain BWC meetings, and this culminated into the Youth Declaration for Biosecurity created by these alum, and certain recommendations for the 9th Review Conference around this time last year. So otherwise, I also participate in the International Genetically Engineered Machine Competitions Responsibility Program. Essentially, iGEM is like a huge international science fair focused on synthetic biology, and they're very prudent about having a safety and security program, as well as a human practices committee focusing on safe, secure, and responsible use of synthetic biological innovations, biotechnology, so on and so forth. So I've participated in a few different workshops that they've offered in order to help steer and shape those programs for students. And finally, I also participate in the youth working paper competition that is offered by Nuclear Threat Initiative's biological portfolio, where international groups of students participate in policy innovation working paper competitions every year. And all of these initiatives that I do participate in, they're always looking for experts to consult, especially ones that are not from Canada, the US, the UK, so on and so forth. And so these are definitely opportunities to get involved in bioexpert networks if that is of any interest. Speaking of youth networks, one of the, I would say, most recent and prominent initiatives that IFBA has been doing is focusing on cultivating the next generation of biosafety and biosecurity professionals in a more formalized way. We, alongside our Equity Focused Coordinating Committee, which I will speak on in a few minutes, we did a global survey a few years ago to our global network, wanting to know what questions or issues relating to diversity, equity, and inclusion were most pressing for them. And an overwhelming number of responses pointed towards that there is no clear career roadmap for a young person wishing to enter the field of biosafety and biosecurity. Those charged with mitigating biological threats and maintaining health security at the subnational, national, regional, and global levels, at all levels, are often not considered by their institutional leadership or top governance as sufficient for managing or leading health emergency response or major steering of health security roadmaps, because there is no PhD program in biosafety and biosecurity, or there are not sufficient educational credentials that will back up these professionals for top leadership. So this is a specific excerpt from our observations that survey results show that the lack of a degree program specifically in biosafety leads to skilled and experienced biosafety professionals being undervalued by those holding doctorate degrees. Formalizing a biosafety career path within higher education system is a priority for cultivating a diverse and inclusive future biosafety workforce. And this is particularly important as we consider the skills and technical expertise necessary for biosafety and biosecurity leadership, where there's a lot of technical knowledge that's required that you draw from the security sector, from the public health sector, from life sciences and other STEM fields. But a lot of these current leaders learn a lot of all of this information on the job. and not in specific education programs. And so with that being said, a few years ago, with support from the Global Affairs Canada Weapons Threat Reduction Program, we helped facilitate the development of a dedicated Bachelor of Science undergraduate degree in biosafety and biosecurity in Kenya at Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology. This 4-year curriculum was developed in collaboration with the University of British Columbia, Technical University of Kenya, University of Health and Allied Sciences in Tanzania, and other regional and global partners, really to make sure that the end product, which was the curriculum, met regional needs, that they were producing graduates that would be responsive to regional health security needs. And so we're very pleased that the program has been accredited by CUE, or the Kenyan Commission for University Education. And we're currently planning for the intake of the first cohort of students in January. And there's going to be a launch event in early 2024. And so this has been intended to be a pilot program for formalized education in biosafety and biosecurity. This has been a long time coming, and there's been a lot of interest in launching programs like this in other regions of the world. There are presently plans for the ASEAN region and Latin America and the Caribbean in particular. But I will emphasize that a lot of this has been possible with the collaboration from these technical working groups and meeting specific contexts for the East African region. I will move ahead for the sake of time to our diversity, equity, and inclusion programming. And this is where I become a little bit more relevant to today's talk through Dr. Novosielova. And I'm very pleased to say that she has been a crucial component of this committee and its activities over the past few years, and is a new member of our board of directors as well. So the Equity Focused Coordinating Committee, or ECC for short, was formed about 3 years ago, and it was initially developed to identify and implement objectives aimed towards sustainable, equitable practice between or within global biosafety and biosecurity. So, I mean, very broadly, as I was mentioning, there's a lot of intersection in global biosecurity between the security sphere and the health sphere, and then many others as well: animal health, environmental health, so on and so forth, some more than others depending on regional context. But a lot of this work has been not only exploring topics of gender, but also how does gender intersect with, for example, multi-sectoral professional communities? How does gender manifest as a variable in decision making across these different sectors or across different regions? And so the ECC has been implementing a number of diverse initiatives to achieve a higher level of understanding of how diversity, equity, and inclusion is relevant to biosafety and biosecurity, not just developing advocacy materials, which we have been doing quite a bit, but really having these deep, complex conversations and breaking it down such that top decision makers can clearly see why investing in gender mainstreaming or investing in other aspects of DEI are important to sustainable practice and policies in biosafety and biosecurity. So as I mentioned before in the educational programming, in a few years ago, we collected feedback concerning experiences and challenges in meeting DEI across global biosafety and biosecurity community, with a focus on age and gender, with age that highlighted a lot of the lack of opportunities for youth in biosafety and biosecurity, specifically being able to follow a direct career path in biosafety and biosecurity compared to other careers in the life sciences. So like if you wanted to go into medicine, if you wanted to become a veterinarian, those career paths are a lot more obvious. We also focused on gender, which had a very, I would say, regionally diverse array of responses. Some examples of the results include that principles of DEI are generally familiar, but connection and relevance to biosafety and biosecurity in a tangible manner is not well understood. We really hit the ground running with that one with some initiatives that I'm going to talk about in just a moment. But also that age and gender intersect, where younger and older women alike struggle to be taken seriously in leadership positions, as well as a number of other aspects of career options or experiences in biosafety and biosecurity. I will mention that the concept of intersectionality, or that, women's experiences around the world or even within a specific region are not a monolith. They're not all the same. So we really approach these topics with asking questions and room for flexibility for different individuals' experiences. So with that, there was kind of an express need for greater integration of DEI principles in the workforce, but specifically looking to interventions, top-down interventions addressing leadership. There was a development of key recommendations for how to implement DEI in top decision-making and in institutions for leadership. But we kind of quickly came to the further questions of how do we measure progress in that respect? How do we know that when leadership invests in gender or DEI as a priority, that it is impactful, especially beyond just counting representation quotas, like how many women are in the room, how many individuals from a specific sponsored country are coming to international meetings. And so we kind of, and also how is DEI specifically connected to biosafety and biosecurity? So over the last year, we've conducted a qualitative study using the Delphi method, which very briefly, it is a series of surveys that takes anonymous expert opinions and recycles them over and over again for that group to distill their individual opinions into a collective consensus of priorities and agreed upon definitions. We use this method to essentially build a number of ways that DEI and gender are specifically related to biosafety and biosecurity practice. And we used an international panel of experts, which is particularly important, where a lot of tools or resources that are similar to this very much use a North American or European context. So it's, and also it's very limited. So our end product actually was a new tool using these connections and how to measure each connection or progress indicators in an institution. And these can be grouped under a few different thematic clusters, which are listed here. I won't go over all of them just for the sake of time, but they kind of summarize how DEI or biosafety is relevant to global biosecurity, and even specifically to more security-oriented features of biosafety and biosecurity workplaces. This tool is open source and is available on our website, www.internationalbiosafety.org. And we'll be doing a few soft launch events in the new year in order to help interested individuals use the tool and get a little bit of feedback on this version. So as I mentioned, this is a fully usable tool. You can print it out, you can fill out the PDF online, and specifically you can use it to assess your progress for each performance measurement in terms of where you are now, where you wish to be, and what needs to happen in order to meet that objective. And you don't have to use all 37 interventions. It's really moldable to what is specific for you. Moving on, another, I would say, very topical effort that we have been very busy doing is the establishment of a regional women's network that is an independent network of women professionals in biosafety and biosecurity. This inaugural network is based across the African continent, where we have women in Africa in biosafety and biosecurity self-organizing, determining their own priorities, and their own definitions of what gender means in terms of their practice of biosafety and biosecurity. This was organized under the Global Partnership Signature Initiative to mitigate biological threats in Africa. And this was first established. I would say the framework for it was first established last year in Cape Town, South Africa. It was determined to be a priority by G7 or Global Partnership governments. And IFBA has facilitated its formal establishment as of last week in Cape Town. And this was preceded by a number of virtual event series called the Living Mosaics virtual event series, which had a few different themes. And these are the three different ones. One focused on global multi-sectoral health security workforces. So a lot of discussion on the imbalance between the majority of the world's frontline health workforce being women, and a lot of the health security leadership or task forces that directed them, particularly during the pandemic, were men. And so now that we are emerging from the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of that conversation focused on what has changed, what has not, what are we learning in this post-pandemic era. Some of the other forums or discussions specifically focused on where are we in terms of biosafety and biosecurity and our understanding of gender as opposed to other disarmament regimes such as nuclear and chemical, and what big actors are focusing on that intersection of work. So Dr. Novosielova was a wonderful guest during those discussions, as well as Dr. Renata Hessman-Delacqua from the United Nations Institute for Disarmament Research, who is doing a lot of work in that area, specifically around BWC in terms of biosafety and biosecurity. And again, these conversations really dug deep into achieving a higher level of understanding in terms of the tangible connections between biosafety and biosecurity and gender, where it wasn't just about advocating for the importance of having these conversations, but really formalizing the topic, getting it down on paper, and having outcomes that we can present to decision makers. And this was specifically, a lot of these conversations were a lead up to the Signature Initiatives Global Partnership Network in Africa. So we focused a lot on specific African perspectives from leaders in the region that we would not have been able to pass on otherwise. So it was an overwhelming success, I found, from the amazing motivation from the group of women professionals from across Africa. We held our in-person workshop on December 12th last week in Cape Town, South Africa, on the margins of the African Society for Laboratory Medicine's conference. There was standing room only at the workshop, and they were able to determine key priority activities over the next year, as well as the formal structure, priority stakeholders and participants. And this was an exercise that, again, served as a pilot where we were hoping to recreate these networks in Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the ASEAN region, where we've had observers from both regions attend this workshop. So they were able to self-organize in a way that will really promote interests that are specific to their regions. And I think a lot of networking and peer-to-peer learning will manifest from that. And just to note that the formation of all of these women's networks will culminate in 2025, where we will have a global conference embracing DEI and global biosafety and biosecurity. All regions are welcome to attend. And this will kind of be a venue for lessons learned and region-to-region collaboration for these women's associations and other key women's organizations in CBRN. This will be under the umbrella of Canada's GP presidency, which will open at that time. But just for now, I will end my presentation. Thank you so much for having me. And please don't hesitate to let me know if there are any questions.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. It has been such a wonderful and such an informative presentation, and I'm pretty sure that that gives us a lot of food for thought. And there's been a lot going on, and I've been just looking at the comments that have been shared in the chat, and there's just really a lot of great work being done in the biofield. And to be honest, I mean, as you were mentioning about the undergrad program in biosafety and biosecurity, I remembered how years ago we were all looking at the International Atomic Energy Agency guide on the master's program for nuclear security, wondering when would we have something in the biofield, and now we have it. So being able to say that things have changed and things have moved, and actually that demonstrates that there has been all this learning from the different fields and transfer of good practices. Also, I think that on the diversity, equity, and inclusion stuff, we probably would need a standalone session just to be able to go through all the different material, all the different initiatives, all the exciting work going on, and really excited to hear about the new network in Africa. And it's a really a wonderful initiative. But without further ado, we actually have a direct question for you in the chat, and I think that I would like to get Katie in the conversation, because it's actually her question with regard to the possibility to conduct some sort of a training workshop for biosafety and biosecurity specialists. So Katie, would you like to join quickly? We are just on time, but I think we have time just for one very quick discussion on this.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, it was very for me. It was very impressive how much have you done for the African the specialists and the different, especially for the women also. And actually, yes, if it's possible, just to have the similar the workshop for not only for Georgia but for the Black Sea. The women specialists, it would be very nice. Yes. So as I know that many of them are really eager from the bio section that to be the beneficiary of the IFBA, the training program. We know the years of professionalism. So thank you.
I think that would be really great. Please do follow up with me with an email, and I can definitely pass that along, because it's been so wonderful to see the sheer amount of motivation from women from all over the world and every single different region wanting to come together and form their own networks. And I mean, one thing that I will say is that with the formation of these networks, we also have been very positive about the participation of men, advocating for gender equality and women's meaningful participation in biosafety and biosecurity. And so I think that would be a really great trend to continue in the Black Sea region as well, or throughout the Caucasus and Central Asia.
Well, thank you so much. And just so that I don't know if you all have followed the chat, but there was another initiative being mentioned. So our colleague Zenobia from King's College London has just flagged up a brand new initiative on countering disinformation. So if you would like to get a little bit more information about that, please get in touch with her, and we'll be happy to sort of keep you posted on that. I would like to ask if there are any burning questions or comments at this stage. I know that we are a little bit over time, and I'll make sure that next time I'll take the very good advice of our president, Natalia, who was very eagerly saying 2 hours, 2 hours, you need 2 hours for this, which I actually appreciate why we need the full 2 hours. And next time definitely we'll be counting on a little bit more time with this.
Open. You can, if you have a time who is present in the meeting and you have a time to discussion, You can easily stay even 1 hour and a half. So link is still open and working, so don't worry, it will not close. Answering the question in the chat, you will have an access to the record on our website, going through our YouTube channel. So that's how things work. And I'm still speaking. So Stephanie, I just want, I saw you promote conference that is planning to be in January 2025. One is the option that I always propose to our members if they know that there is national conferences coming in our field in their countries or other conferences. So we are proposing to have a session organized and supported by the Black Sea Women Network, where we'll have like some specific topic on the session and covered by the expert from the region. So if this is possible, I'll be happy to discuss later this
Yes,
opportunity.
please do follow up with me via email. I think that would be really wonderful. I'll also mention that for funding to get people to Tanzania, we're going to be offering kind of like a working paper or proposal competition for individual professionals that essentially they'll be writing on how they can implement diversity, equity, and inclusion through biosafety and biosecurity in their country or in their institution. So we are kind of offering a few different ways that that people can get funding if they don't have it. Also, 2025 is a long way away, so
this is
also
very
time to
important
prepare.
part. Thank you. Yeah, we will definitely contact, and I see Jenny has also raised her hand. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I want to congratulate Tatiana and Ketty and Stephanie so much for this introduction to the Black Sea Women in Nuclear Network group. You have no idea. I'm a graduate of the VEREX and the VWC protocol negotiations and ABSA and AFSA, and when Dick Lugar was alive and well, helping set this up with Andy Weber, the Lugar Lab, and am the DEIA rep and the Women, Peace and Security rep. And this combination for this meeting has been just extraordinary. I want to quickly just point out that I'm also part of the G7 coordination of our three groups, the Non-Proliferation Directors Group, the Nuclear Safety and Security Group, and the Global Partnership. And we have made the pitch to the Italians that biosafety and biosecurity must be raised at the leaders level this year. There's been such a proliferation of work on bios since COVID and so little focus on this. So I want you to know that during our meeting, I'm also writing to the Italian Director General about how their priorities will be laid out in the three statements we have, the non-proliferation directors, the foreign ministers, and the leaders statement that will come out at the summit in June. And Canadian Global Partnership presidency really isn't very far away. Angelica, who is your DG, was also the head of Global Partnership, and Trevor Smith and I have been at BW for most of our adult lives together. So to see the biosecurity initiative raised and Tanzania, I didn't know UNODA had the bio program for women. It's all just extraordinary. And I tried to capture it a little bit in my comments, but just face to face to say thank you for those of us who are a generation or two ahead of you for just not giving up and pushing this forward because there's such interest. And post-COVID, clearly everybody knows there's a need. So I'm thrilled to death to keep you connected to the groups I have some part of. This was really important today, and I thank you so much. I know better than to run over. Natalia is a very strict sister, but thank you ever so much.
Thank you so much, Jenny, and thank you so much for all your support throughout the Black Sea Women of Nuclear Network, but also the U.S. Black Sea Non-Proliferation Professionals, for which I was also very, very grateful to be part of, and that's pretty much how I got into the loop of this whole thing. And it's been a wonderful journey, a wonderful experience, and there are indeed not that many opportunities for being actually involved in that field. So thank you for creating those and for making it possible for those of us who are interested to be in the field, to remain in the field, to continue to be engaged and to have the platform to continue advancing the great work that has been done over the years. And we do hope that this really has been a wonderful kickstart of this initiative, and I'm very much looking forward to taking this into the new year. So as it was mentioned at the start, we started with a focus on bio. We hope to have a focus, to have a little bit more of a focus on chem early next year to see what is happening in that field, because it's really a very fast evolving field as well. And there are also some similarities there by dint of the fact that just as in the nuclear field, we have the International Atomic Energy Agency, we have the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. So it will be good to see some of the great work that is being done across those fields. And then we'll carry on with some further initiatives just to try and zoom in what is going on in our own region in the Black Sea, to try and flag up some of those great initiatives that have been ongoing. And thanks to Stephanie for flagging up the existing biosafety associations that are there. I know that there is a lot of great work going on, and Katie also mentioned a number of fantastic projects that have been implemented both nationally but also across the region. So we'll be trying to tap into that expertise and bring those folks, bring those voices to the table to try and have those conversations and try to get those perspectives together and continue to unite people, because that's pretty much what this whole initiative is all about. It's really to try and connect professionals across the different fields. And I'm really grateful for all of you who stayed until the end, and for very, very many thanks to Stephanie and to Katie for joining in that on a relatively short notice, for making time and making themselves available for this and preparing and being with us. It's really, we very much appreciate your time and your commitment to this. And great, very many thanks to Natalia, who's been a very, very wonderful support and really a great leader for taking this and not letting it go, but essentially, and also being very, very good at and accommodating of me being busy and being delayed and being slow with things, and at one point saying, no, you have to get back to me today, because if you say tomorrow, then it would be another week. So we don't want that to happen. So thank you so much for being pushy with that. And I'm really grateful that we managed to get this thing together. And it's really been an amazing wrap up of this year. And I hope that it's been of interest to all of those who remain to listen. And once again, I do apologize for my strange voice, and it's
your voice sounds perfectly well. I think we need to applaud to our leader Tatiana Novosolo, because she actually spent a lot of time preparing this, and she agreed to be in charge of this our new initiative. So let's applaud to you. Thank you very much, because you did a lot, and my part is small. It's like to pushing of the people, but it's good that I have to push somebody. So I have you, and I'm very happy and we are very thrilled you are with us, and this initiative is going so well, and start is incredible. Thank you very much. So thank you our speakers, because it was very interesting from different point of view. I have other discussion probably with Katie about the phenomenon of the information in bio. Why it still is going on, this all transparent policies that you have in Georgia, which is incredible and ununderstandable for me. But it is so important to sharing all of this expertise and knowledge and making people know what happened. Thank you again, and good luck. This is your very good start. So we are waiting for the next.
Yes,
thank you so much.
One last thank you so much, ladies, because it's this platform really helps the people just to be more connected, to share the knowledge, to be more just become the friendly this circumstance, because I see the many faces, just familiar faces, but the new ones. For example, I didn't know the Stefania, and it will become the good start for the collaboration or to sharing knowledge and so on. I think that such kind of the initiatives help us to be more closely collaborate to just to create the network and forum and so on and so on. And thank you for this initiative very much, Tatiana, and of course you, my dear. Okay, thank you.
I'd just like to say thank you again for having me. I've looked forward to this event for some time now, and specifically engaging with Black Sea Women in Nuclear. And I think this is just such an innovative, wonderful initiative, and I can't wait to see more.
Thank you, everyone. And yeah, I think as it becomes clear, we can definitely have an entire event on any of the topics that was mentioned. And it's great that we have so much there, and there is so much going on, and it's an interesting field. So all I can say is, once again, thank you so much. Stay tuned, and we'll be in touch with more interesting and exciting events, and we'll be happy to continue connecting people across